Today I'm going to show you how I split my pings. Pings, they tend to over time, once they kind of either they flower or I don't know, nature just kind of does its weirdest things. But here's an example of what I'm going to show you. This is a Lauena that I've got, I think from like last year from California Carnivores. It was a little weird. It really did not, these leaves were completely different. Maybe it was in its like dormant phase, but now the leaves have completely changed. And then you can see 3 different pings in there. Sometimes you ask that question, you're like, well, when do I split my pings? Obviously you can continually let these grow, but you know, over time they get a little bit crowded like in your pot. You definitely want to make sure before you split your pings that there's some good growth, like the size of like the ping. Obviously I'm not an expert at this, I'm just a hobbyist, so I kind of even question myself. I'm like, is this the right time to split my pings? I just kind of take a look at it. I see that there's 3 different really good growths of it, and I'm just gonna give it a shot. The other question that you may have is, well, how do you split them? Do you use your hands? Do you just kind of like pry it? Do you take it apart, or any kind of like specific tools that you use? So for me, I just kind of like learned over time, hands are typically like the best thing that I like to use. They're pretty resilient when you attempt to split them. You can use a little bit of help with some additional kind of like tools. So right here I have some, they're kind of like plant tweezers. You can see right here, like this tip right there, it's a little bit like thicker and rounded. Sometimes when you put them in between like the pings, what I do is I typically like close them first. I stick them on the inside of the ping itself, and then I just kind of release that pressure. It helps split the ping. Though sometimes like this tip, it doesn't kind of get in far enough. And that's where I've kind of also got another little like toolkit of tools, plant tools. This one is very sharp and pointy, but it does get really into the ping, and I'm able to kind of like separate them as well. This one helps more for the smaller pings. This Lauena is a little bit on the bigger side. So I'm gonna try first just with my hands. If that doesn't work, then I'm gonna switch to the silver tool, and then the silver tweezers. And then if that doesn't work, then obviously last resort is the black tweezers. And then also, you also wanna make sure that you do have some pots available. So I have 3 in here. You wanna make sure once you split them that they're ready to just kind of get potted up. If you've just seen in my last video, I just showed you how I put together my ping pots of the materials I use for like my substrates. So these are the same pots that I just have. One is ready to go, and then this one is kind of like dry. So over time, the water will wick up from the bottom. Let me give you a closer view of how I split my pings. What I do like to use is just a smaller tray that I have. I mean, obviously I get my trays from Daiso, best kind of container store in my mind for my plants. And then I kind of take a look, well, how am I gonna get this ping out? So I'm not gonna use my hands like I said originally, but just to get the ping out of the pot, I'm gonna use my tweezers that I have here. Just kind of dig at the bottom, just push up. Kind of like I'm just digging from underneath. Look, there's my first attempt. See, look how shallow like the roots is. It doesn't go like far down deep. So I'm just gonna keep that to the side, and I'll just kind of turn this over so you can see, look at that. It's just a little clump. All the roots are kind of like inside here. I'll just kind of slowly, you can use your tweezers if you like, you can use your hands. Just to kind of get these roots. Now you just want to inspect it a little bit. there's like a little crown. So let me just show you here on the front side here is, how do I know that there's 3? So these little, I don't know exactly what it's called, the scientific part. I guess do I call it like the crown, or it's like the top of it, right? Where the new leaf grows, right? From the base of like the pink. That's how I know that there's 3, right? So there's 1, 2, and then there's 3. Let me just see. You don't have to be so delicate. If it's your first time splitting pings, you can be delicate. That's totally fine. I've done this a few times, so it's kind of like your first child, right? You're always very careful with it, and then once you do it, 3 or 4, or not do it, but like if you have like a second or third child, you're like, it's okay. They'll be fine. So I'm gonna just use my hands there. I'm gonna just kind of feel around, and then you just kind of pull a little bit. Kind of dig your hand in there. You'll kind of feel it. Oh, see? Ta-da! I was able to do this one pretty easily with my hand. And you can kind of see the direction of like the leaves on the inside. You'll it'll just slowly kind of like break apart. Just like that. Look, it just took me a few minutes just to pry it apart. And that's it. Hey, I didn't do that bad of a job. So next, what you want to do, this is actually what I'm going to do. So here's the original pot that I had. I'm not going to use the same soil, so I'm going to come right back and I'm just going to change the soil out really quick. All right, I'm back with some new soil right here. I think the easiest part is, all I'm going to do is just put the ping back on top. But I'm going to take the little plant tweezers and just kind of grab it by the roots a little bit and just kind of push it down, just so that the roots have really good contact with the soil. And that's it. All you got to do is just lay it on top, because once I bottom water this and then the water seeps up over time, the roots will continue to form and it'll continue to grow. I will do the same for this one as well. Just lay it on top. Grab it with my little plant tweezers. Just let it settle right there. That's number 2. And this pot earlier, it is kind of wicked up. So this has kind of already been moist. So what I like to do is just loosen the middle a little bit where I'm gonna put the ping. Oops. Just grab it, kind of move it to the right and left, get the dirt off the leaf, and that's it. If you have like lost like a few like little tiny little like leaves off to the side during your plant splitting, you can either just try to like lay it on top. Maybe it will propagate. Sometimes the smaller leaves don't do that, or those that are starting to like wither, they won't propagate. But I'll just kind of like lay this one on top. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. That's okay. So there you have it. There is my ping splitting of 1 Lauena into 3. Here's the last step that you need to do is you need to always put a plant tag. Don't forget that part. That is from the original one. I have 2 more right here that I'm just going to label. When I label my pings, I tend to keep the same date as the original plant tag, because that's when I got it. Nothing has changed. And then I just kind of set it on in there. that is the final outcome of how I split my pings and just repotting them. I believe that only took me about a few minutes, maybe like less than 10 minutes. It's not like a hard task at all. You just kind of get in there and do it. So don't be shy if it's your first time. Sometimes you can use tools to kind of like help you, but the best thing is just your hands. Just feel in there, just get your fingers in between like the leaves, and you're all set. So thanks for watching, I appreciate it. If you like this, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and until the next one. All right, take care everyone, have a great day. All right, bye-bye.